Think you need a lot of equipment to access a great workout? Think again. A single pair of dumbbells is all you need for a great workout that will break you down and leave you dripping with sweat in less than 30 minutes. This is where it all comes together, bringing the most badass workout to you right now. If you're short on time, at home, or traveling, Total Body Dumbbell Fix is your solution. Total Body Dumbbell Fix consists of 5 follow-along workouts that target every major muscle group in less than 30 minutes with a single pair of dumbbells.
This is where the strength comes in. I'm telling you to push, because I'm pushing.
Get the most out of each workout with instruction and motivation by following along in real time, no matter where you are.
That back leg up as high as you possibly can. I'm sweating, and this is not easy. It's not just for the camera.
Total Body Dumbbell Fix, exclusively on Bodybuilding.com, all access.
What is going on, guys? My name is Brian DeCosta, and we are chilling in Bodybuilding.com headquarters, about to hit a sick back workout. We are starting with deadlifts. Little background, I am here for shooting my Build Your Body campaign for Bodybuilding.com. Super excited to be filming this and figured why not hit an awesome workout in between shooting for that campaign. If you guys don't know, I am an online trainer. I specialize in training busy working professionals and helping them fitness in their life, getting in the gym for an hour, 45 minutes. And this workout will go perfectly along with that because it's gonna take us about 45 minutes. This will crush your back. And if you guys are interested at all, I recommend trying this workout, incorporating into your routine. Your back might hate you, but the gains will thank you. So with that being said, let's get into this workout. Deadlifts first. And before I deadlift, I want to let you guys know that I did warm up before I started these deadlifts. I did 135 pounds, 1 plate on each side, and then 225 pounds, which is 2 plates on each side. And now we have working sets of deadlifts, 4 sets of 8 at 315 pounds. Let's do it.
Sandy from Facebook wants to know, where is the BBCom headquarters located?
Where is the BBCom headquarters located? It is in Boise, Idaho. Sorry, I'm losing my breath right now. It's in Boise, Idaho. Guys, I also want to let you know, anytime during this live, since we are recording live, if you have questions, literally just drop them below and I'll do my best to answer them for you, if I can catch my breath.
All right, YouTube wants to know, how many years have you been training?
So I'm 26 years old and I started training when I was in high school at 17. So I've been training for 9 years.
Awesome. What do your macros look like?
So in terms of macronutrient intake, I'm not sure what they are right now. However, I know I take in around 3,000 calories per day. When I've been doing competitions in the past, like a men's physique competition, I paid much more close attention to macros. I made sure to get 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein. So I weigh 200 pounds, so I'd get 200 grams of protein. And then carbohydrates, I would keep around 300 grams, and fats, was high for me, so I would take in around 100 grams of fat. Again, macros will be different for everyone based on how long you've been lifting, your size, your metabolism, your goals. So that's me, but not necessarily what you would be eating.
Isaiah from YouTube wants to know, what are your deadlift cues before execution?
That's a great question. So I'll go into the next set right now, and I'll kind of talk through some of those. First thing is I make sure that my feet are directly below my shoulders, step up to the bar, and I make sure the bar is cutting my feet pretty much in half. So feet are like halfway through the bar. And then it depends on what grip you would like to use. So you can do a double underhand grip, you can do a double overhand grip, or what I prefer and what I find most deadlifters prefer is a switch grip, a pronated position and a supinated position. Next thing is I come back as if I'm sitting in a chair, and before I lift off the ground, I make sure I feel the tension in my glutes and in my hamstrings. And instead of focusing on ripping the weight off the ground, I think of this cue of pushing the earth down. And something about thinking of pushing the earth down allows me to maintain my form and allows the weight to pop off the ground that much easier. So feeling the tension, push the earth down, straight up, drop. That's set 2. For rest times on deadlift, anywhere from a minute and a half to about 3 minutes. Really depends on your recovery in between sets. Some people will say for compound movements like squats, bench, deadlift, you don't have to hold to a certain rest time so closely. Like, oh, my 60 seconds is up, I have to take another set. You can kind of gauge how you're feeling, and if you don't feel ready at, let's say, a 60-second mark or 90-second mark, take another 30 seconds, take another minute, so you can feel that confidence that you can execute the next set without hurting yourself or something like that.
Art from Facebook wants to know, what stretches do you recommend for warming up?
Great question, great question. So what stretches for warming up? I focus on, 1, rolling out my back, my lower back, because as we know, the deadlifts work the whole posterior chain, everywhere from your traps to your upper back to your mid back, all the way down to the calves, right? So rolling out my lower back, my hamstrings, and then in terms of stretches, I make sure I pretty much stretch my whole lower body. So the quads, the hamstrings, I make sure to stretch my hip flexors down like this, feel the stretch here, and my glutes. And I'll do a glute stretch on the ground. Perhaps I can show you that after my next set, but we're coming up on about 2 minutes or so, and I want to be sure that we keep this rolling. Keeping my feet pointing straight forwards. If you're gonna do a sumo stance, you can be out here like this, but this is called conventional stance, what I like to do. This is probably the most popular deadlift form. Stretch, rest a little bit, take some time to walk around. If you stand up too quickly, you might get a little lightheaded. You guys can ask any questions you may have.
All right, Ivan wants to know, what supplements do you take?
What supplements do I take? So first off, I will say that your training and nutrition needs to be in check and really focused on before you take supplements. But once you're confident that your training and nutrition is going well, I would focus on perhaps taking a pre-workout which, you know, can have caffeine in it, nitric oxide, L-citrulline, something to pump you up in the gym, improve your focus. That's a pre-workout. I'll take that probably every other session. Second thing I would say is a protein powder, like a whey isolate, that will help you hit your protein number for the day and really help fuel that recovery after you hit the gym. So that'd be second thing. And then a third thing would be creatine. And creatine is basically a performance enhancer in the gym that basically gives your muscle the capacity to perform 2 or 3 extra reps that you otherwise would not be able to by affecting the ATP in the muscle. A lot more to go into depth on that, but we don't have the time here. And then the last thing is just the multivitamin. So those are my big 4. And with that, we'll do this last set here. Switch grip, push the earth down, straight up. Deadlifts are now done. So next, what we're gonna roll into is an upper back workout, or working our lats, doing lat pull down, giving the lower back and the mid back a bit of a rest. We're gonna be on this machine right here.
All right, Herschel wants to know, is the idea of the cheat day bogus, or do you simply stop wanting unhealthy foods at some point?
I would say unless you're an alien, you don't ever just stop wanting unhealthy foods. You'll always want them to some degree, but throughout your fitness journey, as you get deeper into it, you've been training and watching your nutrition for years, you'll figure out realistic ways to fit in cheat meals into your diet. And I don't even necessarily like calling them cheat meals, because guys, if you're eating clean 70, 80% of the time, you know, whole foods that are nourishing your body, lean sources of protein, healthy carbohydrates, you know, you can have pizza one night a week. You can, you know, go through Wendy's and have a cheeseburger if you really enjoy that. You can have some ice cream. You know, these are things that, you know, we don't have to be so strict on ourselves, right? And it will help us with our adherence, and it just makes it seem less black and white. So you can call it a cheat meal if you want, but yeah, they are helpful not only for your mental sanity, but for the extra calories that can actually go to help you in your workouts. So, thumbs up on cheat meals. So guys, for the lat pull downs, I forgot to mention, we're doing 3 sets of 10. 8 to 12 rep range is our hypertrophy rep range, which helps us build muscular size. Maybe not necessarily strength. Strength is probably lower reps, but for now, I'm really focused on filling out the muscle, looking like I lift with a t-shirt on. 8 to 12 reps is really what you're looking for.
All right, Edgar from YouTube wants to know, is it better to train one group of muscles a day or 2 groups every workout?
One group of muscles a day versus 2. I would say it doesn't really make that big of a difference. You know, if you want to do, for example, like a push-pull legs workout, which push would be chest, shoulders, triceps, pull would be back, biceps, traps. That's recruiting multiple different muscle groups. Legs, obviously the whole lower half of your body. What you would have to do is just increase the frequency of hitting those muscles, versus if you just hit one muscle group at a time, you can probably only afford to do it once a week, right? So I would say one is not necessarily more beneficial than the other. It's really what you enjoy.
DJ wants to know, how many times do you train your back weekly?
That's a great question. So personally, I train my full back once a week. However, I do deadlifts twice a week. So you just saw me do deadlifts here on back day. This is a lighter deadlift session for me. I'll also do deadlifts on leg day, which will be lower rep and a bit more heavy.
Mike wants to know, do you recommend heavy lifting, less reps, or more reps, less weight?
Both. I would say both. Of course, depending on your goals. You know, if you're an advanced lifter and you're focusing on building strength and you want to do like a powerlifting meet, there are certain percentages of your 1 rep max that you should be hitting to optimize your strength. However, for everyday lifters, beginner, intermediate, I would say have, you know, maybe 1 week if you go lighter on deadlifts or lighter on squats. The next week you can lighten up the reps, lower the reps, and increase the weight.
All right, are you completely vegan now?
Ooh, someone's been following me on social media. I'm not completely vegan now. I have drastically reduced my meat intake and dairy intake the last 5 or 6 weeks. I've been inspired by another bodybuilder named Nimai Delgado. I'm just testing it out, guys. I've noticed no strength loss by any means, maybe a little size loss, but I feel great, and maybe it won't do it forever, but I'm gonna continue it for here in another month or so, I would say.
Awesome, and Jordan from YouTube says, those quads are amazing.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Not like Julian Smith, but we're trying to get on his level. All right, I'm gonna do one more set, let's go. Whew. So that's the second set, guys. I do want to say one thing. You can notice I'm almost doing like 2 movements in one. First thing is full extension, and then I'm rolling the shoulder blades back, retracting my scapula. That's the first part of the motion. And then once I'm doing that, my chest is up, pull back, come back down, full extension, retract the scapula, come down. Always think of getting that full range of motion with lat pull-downs. You can kind of think of it in 2 different movements.
Jesse from Facebook wants to know, Brian, would you do heavy rack pulls on a different day than you do deadlifts? And how would you fit high pulls in for back development?
High pulls in. That's a great question. I would say there's probably no hard and fast rule. I think depending on how gassed you feel after doing deadlifts, you could potentially go into rack pulls. But, you know, for example, it depends with your deadlift where your sticking point is, right? Some people have trouble getting it off the ground from here up, but then once they get it to this point, they can extend easily. Other people can get it off the ground easy, but they can't lock it out at the top. That's their sticking point, and that's mine personally. So rack pulls really, really help with that. So if your sticking point with deadlifts is you can get to here but can't lock it out, I would prioritize rack pulls, on another day of deadlift so you have your full strength.
Owen wants to know, do you have any advice for gaining mass for ectomorphs?
Oh my gosh, you have to eat, buddy. Just eat, You gotta eat, make sure you're getting in plenty of calories before your workout, after your workout, and you can get away with eating less clean than, let's say, an endomorph or an endomorph or a mesomorph, sorry, which are body types that can potentially hold fat easier. You have to play the calorie game, 3,500, 4,000 calories. Make sure you're eating enough.
Victory FPS from Twitch wants to know, what's the best way to figure out your maintenance calories?
That's a great question. I would do two things. First thing is I would just Google calorie calculator. You can find like 100 of them, and I would do 2 or 3 of the calorie calculators, put in your height, put in your weight, put in your activity level, and it'll spit out a calorie maintenance level for you. Do that 2 or 3 times. You can take an average. And then second thing is just track your calories for 2-3 days, maybe a week, using an app like MyFitnessPal, and just eat how you normally would. But after you do that for about a week, you'll be able to see, oh, I usually eat around 2,200 calories a day when I'm not really trying. There's no hard and fast rule because everybody's different, but those are 2 methods you should try. I'm gonna do one more set. I'm not even sure if that was 10, guys. I think it was.
Tyler from YouTube wants to know, do you use a weight belt or lifting straps?
Personally, I do not use a weight belt. I feel as though, me personally, I have a strong core and a strong lower back, so I enjoy doing my squats and my deadlifts without a belt. I can kind of get away with it. If you're a beginner, if you're intermediate, I would say use a weight belt, it'll help you, and then perhaps you can graduate off of using a weight belt. Second thing is straps. 100% I use straps for sure. Now obviously this is a lighter deadlift day for me, so I don't really need them, but on a heavier deadlift day where I'm doing 2 reps to 5 reps, likely your forearm strength, right, is gonna give out before your back. So I would say straps will be very beneficial then, and that's really where they come in, the heavier lifts.
Donna from Facebook wants to know, can I ask, are you single? LOL.
I am not single, I'm sorry. I'm not. If I ever am, then we'll do another live and I'll announce it for you. I'm kidding.
Cody wants to know, how tall are you? I'm 5'11" and struggle with deads because I have to get down so low. Any tips?
Wow. So I'm 5'8", and I feel as though being shorter, obviously for deadlifts, is probably more beneficial. I can get lower to the ground. For you, it depends on your arm length. It depends on the length of your femurs, your legs. It depends on your leverages. So what I would do for you, man, is I would play around with the stances. I would try the sumo stance like this, pretty wide. See how that feels. I would try the conventional stance. I would think that sumo stance would suit you better because the bar has to travel less distance off the ground, right? Locking out here versus coming all the way down, much less distance. So I would try out sumo, maybe make that your preferred stance for deadlifts. Maybe that'll help you. So guys, the next exercise we're gonna do is dumbbell rows over here. So deadlifts, we worked the lower back, middle back. We gave them a rest, did the lats, lat pull down. Now we're gonna come back and really work on the back thickness. Like, I have a shirt on, so I can't really show you, but think of dumbbell rows as making that back thick, like a big Arnold Schwarzenegger style back. So dumbbell rows, 3 sets of 10, similar to lat pull down. Rest time, anywhere from a minute, maybe 2 minutes, trying to keep the rest time a little shorter is more ideal.
Julie from Facebook wants to know, if I'm following a weightlifting program but have issues with time, can I get the same benefits by breaking up the workout throughout the day, or would I see better results doing the entire workout in one session?
Over the long term, Julie, I would say it doesn't matter. You know, thinking of the big picture, what's most important is that you're on a weight training program and that you're actually making time to go to the gym. If you're super dedicated like that and you're willing to go twice a day, that's amazing. I would say that it really doesn't make that much of a difference, you know? Do your best to keep it in one session just for the sake of your time. You know, watch the rest time, try to go as quick as you can, but splitting it up won't affect you much.
Larson wants to know, how often do you change your splits?
So Larson, I don't change my splits very often, to be honest, like barely ever. So for the last 3 years, I've always done chest, back, legs, shoulders, arms, full body workout, 6 days, take an off day, restart that again on Monday. In terms of the exercises I do within those workouts, I will change them up. I'll change the rep range, I'll superset some things, I'll drop set some things. That's getting a little advanced, but you know, I've found something that works for me. So you play around, you find something that you enjoy that works for you, and you can kind of stick to it. I don't think we need to be switching everything up every couple months. It's not necessary.
Sandy wants to know, why do you have your arm bent on the bench? I thought it should be straight on your rows.
So that's a great question. So for me personally, I find when I have my elbow resting, I can get a deeper stretch in my lat here and also in my tricep. I try to feel that squeeze. Versus an upright motion or like keep your hand on the bench. It's just hitting it from a different angle. I do both, but because I'm using a dumbbell that's a little bit lighter, it's easier to drop the elbow when you're using a bit of a lighter dumbbell. So that's really why I'm doing it.
Kara from Facebook says, hey, that's my old coach. He's amazing.
Kara, what's up? How you doing? Kara Marie. How's it going? Hi.
Twitch wants to know, what's the difference between a shred split and a strength split?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
What's the difference between a shred split and a strength split?
That's a great question. So a shred, like a fat loss split, would be higher rep and it would be lower weight, and you would be really monitoring the rest times to focus on your cardiovascular endurance, getting the heart rate up, burn more calories, versus a strength split where you have to be very intentional about the exact weights that you're hitting. So someone who's on a strength split, for example, would go into the gym knowing, hey, I've got 3 sets of 8 on deadlifts and I need to hit 70% of my 1 rep max. Like, that's very specific, right? They know exactly what they need to hit, versus if you're just in it to lose fat, the big focus is burning the calories, moving as fast as you can, so the weights aren't as important, I would say.
For dumbbell row, is it best to have your body parallel to the ground, or can you have your torso inclined a little bit?
It's hitting the muscle from different angles, so you can have your torso inclined or you can have your body parallel. Whatever feels most comfortable for you, I would say, depending on, you know, the length of your lower body, the length of your arm. Wherever you can feel, you really have to play around and see, where am I feeling this contraction best? And what you can even do is you can poke the muscle while you're doing the exercise, or you can have your workout partner, if it's not creepy for you, poke where you should be feeling it, and you can play around with stances and see where you feel it best. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my second set, and I'll be back in a sec. So for example, I'll just do this one with my palm on the bench instead of my elbow. So I breathe in on the resting portion of the movement as I'm lowering the dumbbell. I kind of almost hold my breath during the working portion of the movement, pulling up, and then I exert force, blow the air out at the top of the contraction, and then breathe in again as I lower during the resting portion.
All right, Corey from Facebook wants to know, what's your favorite compound movement?
So my favorite compound movement between like overhead press or squat or bench or deadlift would definitely be deadlifts, just because I'm strongest at it. I hate benching because my chest is fairly weak, and Bodybuilding.com gave me the offer if I wanted to do a chest workout with you guys today, and I said no, because I like doing back workouts because I'm strong at them.
All right, what is your favorite candy?
Favorite candy? Heath bars. Heath bars, like toffee, it's so good. I'm not like a Sprees, I'm not like a super sweet, sugary type. I'm more of like the chocolate peanut butter type dessert guy, for sure.
YouTube wants to know, how long does your workout usually last?
So my workouts, I get antsy if I'm in the gym for anywhere longer than an hour and 15 minutes. Like the 75-minute mark, I know I'm just like, I need to get out of here. So I try my best to keep it 60 minutes, 75 minutes. If I can keep it shorter, great. But that's usually where it falls.
Twitch wants to know, how do I get a Christmas tree in my back?
So if you want a Christmas tree in your back, so if anyone doesn't understand what that is, it basically means being so shredded and so low body fat that your lower back muscles basically start coming out right here, and it starts to look like a Christmas tree. And if you want to get to that level, you have to pay very close attention to your diet. You have to increase your cardio, and it'll be painful, but you can get there if you diet and you work out really hard for a couple months. It's difficult though.
Would you recommend hiring a trainer when you're new?
Yes, I would recommend hiring a trainer when you're new, because I feel as though it will just expedite the process of you knowing what to do in the gym. You know, even if you only have to have a trainer for a month or a month and a half, maybe only like 4 or 5 sessions, the knowledge you'll gain in that session from being with a trainer will save you like 6 months of just doing it on your own. So we're gonna finish out the rows right here, and then we'll move into our next exercise. We're halfway home, halfway done.
Facebook wants to know, what protein powder do you use and how many meals a day do you eat?
So for protein powder, originally I was taking a whey isolate protein, which is, you know, very low in fat, very low in carbohydrates, high in protein, amino acids, great for recovery after a workout. Recently, I'll switch it over to a plant-based protein, which, you know, is a vegan protein, and it's basically made out of soy, or you can find it made out of brown rice or pea protein. And it's obviously plant-based, and you can get great macros there, so low fat again, low carb, and high protein. What was the other question?
How many meals a day do you eat?
So for meals a day, it usually works out to 3 meals and maybe a snack at the end of the night. In the morning, I just like doing a shake. I'm not a huge breakfast guy, so I'll do a shake with, you know, veggies, some protein powder, some peanut butter, and then I'll have my first meal right around noon or so.
YouTube wants to know, do you do intermittent fasting?
Great question. So intermittent fasting, which is basically picking an eating window during the day, let's say noon to 8 p.m. is the most popular. where you're gonna take in all of your nutrition in that window. I have done it before. I got used to it, I liked it. However, sometimes it's hard to sustain with your lifestyle. If you're traveling a lot, if you're busy, on the go, sometimes, you've been busy and it's like 9 p.m. It's like, God, I haven't eaten anything. Well, what do you do at that point? Do you just wait till the morning? So I would say if you have a structured schedule, like you work a job where you go to the same place every day, you can anticipate and you can do intermittent fasting. However, may not be the best for really busy people on the road and on the go.
Juan from YouTube wants to know, so if I'm cutting and I am playing soccer, could that count as my cardio, or would I have to do additional cardio?
Definitely, if you're a soccer player, I'm a soccer player, I grew up playing soccer. An average high school soccer player runs 6 miles per game. So you don't need to do extra cardio, for sure. Definitely not, it would be overkill. If anything, I would say increase the calories and go extra hard in the gym to create those micro tears in the muscle and actually build your body up. So no extra cardio if you're a soccer player. So guys, the next exercise we're gonna do is hyperextensions. So this is a lower back exercise, which will really help with your deadlifts. It will help with your squats. And it just really helps you create a tight core, which will help you in all of your movements, because having strong abs, it's just as important to have a strong lower back. So coming over here, we'll get a weight. So for the lower back extensions, we're doing 3 sets of 15. I find that my lower back strength responds better doing a little bit higher rep. So instead of 3 sets of 10 that we were doing over here, we'll increase the rep range a little bit.
Who is your favorite bodybuilder?
So my favorite bodybuilder, I would say, is Ryan Terry. He's a men's physique pro from the UK. I believe he just moved to the States, but he's a big contender for the Olympia this year to be the men's physique champion, the pro. And I admire his proportions, and his core is crazy. And I feel as though we all look to physiques that we would like to emulate. And I would say Ryan Terry's is one that I kind of chase and kind of think of when I'm trying to motivate myself.
Jim from Facebook says, I'm 50 and want to pack on more muscle. Any tips?
So, Jim, you're 50 and you want to pack on more muscle. I would say the principles you have to follow would be the same at any age. It would be, focus on the nutrition, focus on making sure you're getting enough calories and enough protein, macronutrients during the day to fuel the muscle gain. So if you want to gain muscle, you have to be taking in more calories than your body needs to stay the same weight. So figure out what that caloric maintenance is for you. Let's say it's 2,000 calories. You need to increase that. So you need to have 300 to 500 calories more than your maintenance, so you can really see the benefits of putting that work in the gym.
Kevin from Facebook wants to know, do you take creatine? If so, how much per day?
I firmly believe if you're a weightlifter, male or female, no matter what your goals, you should take creatine. It's very inexpensive. It is taken by professional athletes. to help with performance. It's an inexpensive, amazing option to help increase your performance in the gym. You need 5 grams per day. A lot of talk on social media says that you need to like load creatine, like take 20 grams per day for the first several days. That's not the case. If you take 1 scoop, which will be 5 grams per day, every day, you'll be good to go.
Mike wants to know, do you drink caffeine?
I drink way too much caffeine, yes. That's one of my 2018 resolutions, is to cut back on caffeine intake, because I was up to probably 1 gram a day, like 1,000 milligrams a day, which I probably shouldn't admit on this wellness platform, but I'm working on it now. So I've cut it down to a cup of coffee a day, around 200 milligrams. And it was tough for the first like 3-4 days, but honestly, I feel great now. And I would say try to keep your caffeine intake under like 300 milligrams a day, probably best.
Lucky from YouTube wants to know, do you incorporate resistance bands into your training?
I don't incorporate resistance bands into my training. However, I do warm up with them. I think they're great for warming up, like shoulders, shoulder mobility, glute activation. I don't know, it's something that I've never really done. However, I see a lot of females in the gym doing it. I see a lot of guys even, going through mobility band routines. So I would say it would be really beneficial. Not something I personally do though. I'm gonna do one more set and then we'll come back. Ooh.
Twitch wants to know thoughts on hyperextensions versus good mornings.
So hyperextensions versus good mornings. I would say good mornings are probably a better all-around muscle builder, and they engage your hamstrings and your glutes much more, versus hyperextensions, which is what we're doing here, more isolates your lower back. And then again, there's something to be said for good mornings targeting your stabilizer muscles, right? Because being able to do this position, takes a lot of balance, takes a lot of core stability. I would say you'll get more bang for your buck, burn more calories by doing good mornings. But if you want to isolate the lower back, hyperextensions.
Arlen wants to know, what kind of training program do you follow? Strength-based, hypertrophy, push-pull, or a hybrid program?
That's a great question. So for me personally now, I am focused on increasing my strength through the winter, through the spring, while maintaining my muscular definition and size. So I feel as though I can do that with a mixture. So they like to call it power building, a combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding. But what I do is both. I focus on my compound lifts, squat, bench, deadlift, and then after those movements, similar to what we're doing here, more isolated hypertrophy-based movements, kind of get the best of both worlds.
Facebook wants to know, do you have your vegan meals listed anywhere, or do you follow a plan?
Wow, you're inspiring me to do that, because I've received that question before. I don't have them listed anywhere, but I will say as a rule of thumb, just like whether you're eating vegan or not, the principles are the same. Focus on getting a protein source, focus on a carbohydrate source, and with a carbohydrate source, a starchy carb source and a fibrous carb source, like veggies, starchy carb source being something like potatoes or rice. That's really how I like to structure my meals. But that's good homework for me. Maybe I can give that to BBCom and they can share that. But yeah, I'll do that.
Cardio before or after a workout, and how much time?
So cardio before or after a workout, it depends on what you enjoy. Some people, if they do cardio before the workout, it gets their heart rate up, it gets them in the zone, they're sweating, and they can go into the workout and crush it. Some people do cardio before the workout and they feel weaker and they just feel like they've spent all their energy already. So give it a try yourself. Try it before, try it after, and see what you like best. Personally, I don't do it after because after I have a hard weight training session, I want to get out of the gym. I can't do cardio after. So in terms of how much, it depends on your level of fitness. I would say starting with 20 minutes, pretty light, is a good rule of thumb, then you can increase from there.
And HIIT or steady state cardio?
HIIT or steady state cardio? There's a lot of back and forth about the benefits of both. I would say for fat loss purposes, it doesn't really matter until you get down to the single digit body fat percentages, like you're gonna be doing like a bodybuilding competition or a bikini competition. I would say at that point, you wanna do like steady state cardio, but you know, in the grand scheme of things, cardio is just a tool to burn more calories and create more of a caloric deficit so we lose fat, right? We shape the body and the muscle by doing the weight training, so it doesn't matter so much.
All right, one more. What's the best way to improve your pull-up? How do I learn to do more?
Best way to improve your pull-up, I would say, is one, you can do lat pull-downs here, which is basically, if you lighten the weight, it can be like an assisted pull-up, just increasing the weight on your lat pull-downs. And then second thing is if your gym has an assisted pull-up machine, where you can rest your knees on it, and it can take some of the load, so it makes doing the pull-up easier. And then what you can do is you can gradually lighten the weight on that assisted pull-up machine until you're getting down to just using your own body weight, until you can do a pull-up on your own or a couple pull-ups on your own. So I'm gonna go out and finish out this exercise, and then we've got 2 more, and then we're done. So guys, the last 2 exercises we're gonna do is rope pull downs on this machine right here. And then we're gonna superset that with just some good old dumbbell bicep curls. Switching back and forth, that's what superset means, doing one after another. 3 sets of 10 each, and then that's all she wrote. So let's get into it. So that's set 1. It's really easy with the lat pull downs, the rope pull downs, guys, to feel it in your arms and your triceps, but do your best to step far away enough that you can get a full extension and really feel the contraction in your lats. And then really focus on your back and pulling with your back instead of your arms. Think of your arms almost as just hooks to bring the rope down. And then with bicep curls here, you saw my wrist turned out a little bit of rocking, but that's okay. You don't have to be like just super straight like this. You know, some form Nazis may say that you have to, but honestly, getting a little bit of swing to get the weight up is completely fine.
Derek from Facebook wants to know, have you heard of FST7 and do you like it?
So I have heard of FST7 training. I believe Hani Rambod, the trainer of like all the Olympians, implements that training system with them. So clearly it works. I haven't done it personally, but I know it's a lot of, you know, drop sets, time under tension, you know, a lot of heavy lifting too. I don't know the specifics of it, but, you know, for example, if BBCom has one of those training sessions on the website, in which I believe they do, go ahead, give it a try. You may need to be intermediate to advanced to do it, but I would try it out.
Isaiah wants to know, how much water do you drink in a day?
How much water do I drink in a day? So I would say, you know, anywhere from an ounce to, I'll probably say an ounce of water per pound of, maybe not per pound of body weight. I would say, just so for me, I take in around 130 ounces. I'm sorry. Yes, 130 ounces of water a day. And I would say try to get at least a gallon a day is good for you. You know, it's just good to keep your system going and keep hunger off, especially if you're dieting.
What type of music do you like to listen to?
Ooh, music. So for me, if you would go on my Spotify and like my SoundCloud, which is where I listen to my music, you would see all EDM music, like electronic dance music, like Tiesto, Steve Aoki, like really upbeat music, which is what I listen to in the gym. But outside of the gym, I like Jack Johnson, John Mayer, like more like mellow, tame music. So I can get down with any type of music though, it just depends on my mood. But gym purposes, no rap, it's all like electronic trap type music.
What's your opinion on the keto diet in regards to cutting fat?
Ooh. So keto diet in regards to cutting fat, I feel like it's probably a great tool. I think it's a phenomenal tool. I was just talking to someone who has already lost 14 pounds this year doing the keto diet, so clearly it works. However, by its nature, the keto diet, you're cutting carbs drastically, right? So you're taking in 30 grams of carbs per day or lower. You know, that's gonna affect your performance in the gym. And not only is it gonna affect your performance in the gym, you won't probably be as strong, you're gonna have to pay really close attention when you go out to eat. There's gonna be a lot of foods that are gonna be very enticing that you're gonna have to say no to consistently. So think of the adherence and if it's realistic for you to be able to stick to, because if you lose 20 pounds on it and then you don't feel you can sustain it and you switch off of it, you'll gain that weight back. So, you know, is it really worth it? Ask yourself that question.
Facebook wants to know, is there such thing as too much protein?
I don't know if taking in too much protein, I'm not sure if it would have negative effects on you, but there's clearly a point where it would lose its benefit. You know, our body doesn't need more than, you know, a gram per pound of body weight, maybe 1.2 grams per pound of body weight a day of protein. And further, I don't know the exact science behind it, but I know there's studies showing that, you know, ingesting more than 40 to 50 grams of protein in one sitting, you know, anything above that mark really isn't going to benefit muscle recovery. So I would say just focus on getting a lean source of protein with each of your meals during the day, with your snacks, maybe a protein bar or a shake, and you'll be good to go. But I wouldn't be going into like 300 grams of protein or higher. Don't think it's really necessary.
What are the best supplements for a beginner to take?
Best supplements for a beginner to take, I would say make sure your nutrition is on point, make sure your training is on point, and after that, focus on supplements. It would be taking a multivitamin, very essential. I would say supplementing protein, like whey protein, casein protein, which is slower digesting, to hit your protein number for the day. And then perhaps if you need a boost in the gym, consider taking a pre-workout with caffeine in it, nitric oxide, L-citrulline, what I mentioned before, and creatine. Even if you're a beginner, I would recommend taking creatine.
Kevin from Facebook wants to know, how do you know your workout is enough if you aren't sore or dead tired?
How do you know your workout's enough if you're not sore or dead tired? It depends. This is hard. It depends on what your goals are. I would say if you're following a very specific routine that calls out certain weights you need to hit, like a powerlifting regimen, periodized regimen, you need to follow that routine no matter what. Even if you're not tired, even if you feel you could do more, I would say stick to it because the program was created that way for a reason. However, if you're kind of just doing your own thing in the gym, just trying to get a little bit bigger, lose a little bit more fat, I would say if you're not feeling sore, if you're not feeling that fatigue or tired after, I would increase the training volume. So either increasing the weights you're using, increasing the reps you're using, or increasing the sets that you're doing. Those 3 variables you need to focus on. I'm gonna do one more set here, and then we'll come back and we'll answer a few more. You guys ask awesome questions, by the way. Keep them coming. Whew. One more set, guys. One more set and we're done.
All right, Jason from Facebook wants to know, do you have rest days? Is it worth having a day off?
100%. 100% is worth taking a day off. Even if you feel you don't need it. I feel as though, especially those that are passionate about going to the gym and the gym's our escape, which is me, I'm guilty. I haven't taken a rest day some days in like 2 or 3 weeks. And that's just because I love going and I love working out. But, recovery time and sleep is just as important as the damage you create in the gym. And over the long term, not only can you create an injury, but you can hurt yourself and hinder your muscle gain if you're not taking that rest and just fueling your body properly. So,
what is a healthy amount of body fat to drop in 3-month period?
A healthy amount of body fat to drop in a 3-month period, I would say 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week is probably the maximum weight you would like to drop. Anything higher than that, I would say you're losing some muscle, and not only are you losing some muscle, you're probably eating fairly lower calorie, which means you may have a bounce back period of gaining weight, and it may not be very sustainable for you. So as a rule of thumb, let's do 2 pounds a week over a 3-month period. That'll be what? Hashtag math. I can't even think right now. Maybe 25 pounds or so, I would say is healthy. If you're morbidly obese, I would say that can be more weight loss in 3 months, but as a rule of thumb, 2 pounds, 1.5 pounds a week.
Anthony wants to know, what do you like better, drop sets or supersets?
I would say drop sets and supersets are different tools, right? They go to benefit different things. So a superset is working one muscle group, for example, my mid back here with these rope pull downs, complemented with a bicep curl, working the biceps. So switching back and forth, minimizing the rest time. However, a drop set is doing the same exercise, right, and just doing less weight. So a drop set, if I was doing these 35-pound dumbbell curls right here, I ran over to the rack and I grabbed 20-pound dumbbells, 15 pounds lighter, and I cranked out another 10 reps. that's really going to create more damage in the same muscle versus just switching back and forth. So different tools, both very beneficial, and I would use them.
Facebook wants to know, is there a trick to getting shredded abs other than doing the normal exercises and strict dieting?
Is there a trick? You can paint your abs on, you can do spray tans, you can shave your stomach to make it look leaner. There's no really trick to getting abs besides paying attention to your diet consistently, getting rid of that layer of fat over your abs, right? Because just doing crunches isn't going to give us abs, right? It's lowering our body fat percentage. So focusing on your diet, being patient, and focusing on your weight training. Weight training is really important, and they will show up eventually as long as you're fueling your body properly and putting in that work. I promise you.
Wilford wants to know, is your bent over row weight similar to your deadlift weight?
No, I don't think the bent over row weight is you can really compare. It's not really apples to apples. The bent over row really goes to target your mid back and even arguably your lower back and your lats a little bit. But for example, the deadlift goes to target your whole posterior chain, your glutes, your hamstrings, even your calves, all the way up to your traps. So you should be able to deadlift much more weight than what you can do with a row, for sure.
What's the best advice to a beginner just starting in the gym?
Ooh. Best advice for a beginner in the gym, I would say start slow. Start going maybe 3 times a week. And I would focus on the movements that will change your body the quickest and give your body the most bang for your buck. And that would be doing squats, starting with the bar, getting your form right, doing something like deadlifts, which is a great calorie burner, great at building your full posterior chain, your whole back. You're starting with the bar there, and then like bench. So these compound movements, get really good at those, and you'd have a solid start. Me personally, I wasn't doing deadlifts or squats until I had been in the gym for like 3 or 4 years. I was just doing the machines, and I wish that I started earlier on them. So that's what I would say.
YouTube wants to know, is it necessary to eat more carbs for size gain, especially post-workout?
I would say it's definitely important to get carbs after your workout because they go to replenish the glycogen in your muscle. So when we're working out in the gym, right, we're draining the glycogen out of our muscle to be able to get a pump, be able to perform the movement. Carbs go to replenish that glycogen and fill out our muscle and help our muscle recover. So carbs after a workout, I would say at any time during the day, carbs are most important post-workout. Again, it depends on the person, on the amount of carbs that they'll take in. I know some guys that are smaller than me that'll take in 500, 600 carbs a day, and their fat intake is low. But for me personally, over the years, I've learned that I like having less carbs, like around 300 grams of carbs per day, but my fats are above 100 grams per day consistently. And that's the way my body likes to operate. That's where I feel best. So it's something that you have to really feel it out over time and see what works best for you. But carbs are your friend, definitely. Last set, and then we're gonna wrap up. done. How easy was that? How easy was that? 6 movements, 5 movements, super easy. We've probably been going for, I would say maybe an hour. Probably would have been less if we were doing less questions, but guys, this is totally something you can do. 45-minute time frame, in and out of the gym, blow that back up.
Christine from Facebook wants to know, is there difference in gains between plant-based protein and meat animal-based protein?
Is there a difference in what?
In gains.
Is there a difference in gains? I would say no. I would say, you know, animal protein may have a more complete like amino acid compound, you know, all 9 amino acids versus plant-based where you may have to supplement like branched chain amino acids, BCAAs, to get all of your amino acids making up protein. But, you know, at the end of the day, I would say that's not something you really need to be as focused on. I would focus on getting, you know, a gram per pound of body weight or so of protein. And I wouldn't say there's really much difference there.
Awesome. Last one for you. Where can everyone find you on social?
So guys, if you want to follow my journey, if you want my tips, tricks, me to help you further than this Q&A, you can find me on Instagram, just my name, Brian DeCosta, BrianDecosta. YouTube is just search my name, Brian DeCosta. I post videos 3 times a week. And you can also find me on Facebook. You can just search my name again, Brian DeCosta. And on Twitter, you can just search my name, Brian DeCosta. Pretty similar all across the platforms. And I would be, it would bring me joy to serve you, help you, and I hope you guys found this super beneficial.